Hi, we are Meeting in the Middle. I'm Nicole Roth.
And I'm Hannah Mosher. This is a video podcast where we discuss our daily triumphs and trials in hopes to influence, inspire, and empower women to live a life worthy of their calling.
Today, we are introducing our first ever sermon series.
So excited.
We have been working so hard on, and it is called Door Walkers. But before we get to that, we have a few guest appearances today.
We have several. Well, two.
Just the two. It's actually our husbands.
I know, believe it or not.
I know.
Episode 3.
Yeah, we've been talking about them.
We thought it might be a good time to bring them on the show because of the whole opening the Christmas presents, and it was like, the audience is like, who's opening what?
Yeah. So, do you want to introduce Eric first?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure, Eric, come on in.
Brandon, just come on in too.
Hi. I'm Eric Mosher.
And I'm Brandon Roth, and I wear funny pants.
I think our voices sound awkwardly similar.
Yeah. So, as you can tell, these are obviously not our husbands, but
Mine might be.
Sure.
Don't be so quick to judge.
Okay. I'll put him down now for a second. So the other day, me and my husband and my kids were at Hannah's house with Eric.
That's him. That's the guy.
And Eric decided to give me one more Christmas present. And
It came late.
I guess so. And it was these ginormous flatheads. Apparently, he had ordered these for the Christmas episode, but it didn't come in time, so he was just a little bit more creative.
Did you say fatheads or flatheads?
Oh,
I think you said flatheads, which is even better.
Are they not?
They are fatheads.
This whole time
But it is flat.
I thought these were flatheads. So occasionally you will be seeing our husbands pop onto the show.
Yeah. Our guest appearances.
Our guest appearances randomly. Oh, this is hilarious. Thank you, Eric. And this makes our channel that much better.
Absolutely. We were not much till this happened. Really.
Yes.
We added some value. Before we get into our little intro to our new series, we just want to remind you to like and subscribe to our channel. Takes a few seconds. I was going to try to go with the beat. Didn't work out.
So as we're getting into the new year, Hannah, do you guys have any special traditions, or have you ever done any special New Year's traditions?
So the Mosher family, no. We are bedtime people for sure. I guess we kind of ruined any of our chances of having them when we bought a gym back in 2018 because we decided to open that gym on January 1st at 5 a.m. So we thought from a business standpoint,
for those New Year's resolutions,
it's the best time and day you could do. So we decided to go to bed to be responsible business owners. And so that kind of ruined any chance. But even before that, I can't really pretend that we stayed up because we didn't.
Yeah.
We look at each other like, is it worth it? We even set our alarms for midnight and we just press snooze.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Have you ever been a New Year's type of
Yeah, for sure. Me and my middle sister, I have two younger sisters, but me and my middle sister, Rachel, we used to get put to bed. We were not allowed to stay up, but we prepped. I mean, we stashed candy and soda and popcorn under the bed. So it was like, oh, sure, we'll go to bed at 7, no problem. And we got up there and we would turn on our little TV and look at the clock and play games. And that was a tradition. We did it every year for several years.
That's so funny. How much younger is your middle sister?
So I don't know why I know the number exactly. I'm 2 years, 9 months older than her. And then under her is another 3 years. So I'm actually 7 years older than the baby sister. Yeah.
Well, as far as traditions on our end, I mean, when Brandon and I first got together and we were first married and kid-free, we would always go to a friend's house and ring in the new year with friends. But since kids, man, no. Just no. We just go to bed and it's just normal. We don't really do anything extravagant. And of course, maybe in my younger years, in my whippersnapper years, in college, I did the whole New Year's shebang, going out with friends type of thing. And so that is not the phase of life I'm in anymore. So
we've evacuated that phase.
As far of New Year's this year, yeah, I don't really see me staying up till midnight. No. And so that's kind of where we're at with that.
Yeah, I think we tried to let Micah stay up, like let him, and he just was out by 8, like just go to bed, like with a movie or something.
However, my birthday is January 2nd, and that, Brayden usually takes me out on a date for that. Not at midnight, but that is more...
He's slacking.
Something we celebrate than staying up till midnight for New Year's, but...
Do you know a fun fact about Nicole's birthday? It's January 2nd. My birthday is July 2nd. So...
Half birthday. Right?
We were...
Is that right?
Not for each other. It is.
Oh. Okay, I'm not...
You fact-checking me right now?
I don't know. Okay, we're good.
I realized that having this iPad makes me look like an Apple person. When I'm very much not.
So a lot of the times during the new year, people make New Year's resolutions, whether that's big or small, and some of them regard like going forth in your faith. Like maybe someone's going to read a psalm a day, or maybe someone is going to stick to a devotional. But some resolutions are like working out every day or not drinking every day. And so a lot of those things are decisions that we're making actively to be a better person, or maybe to better our walk with Christ. And a lot of the time, those naturally open or close doors when you make those conscious decisions. And when those doors open, are you going to take those chances? Are you going to take a leap of faith? Has there ever been a time in your life, Hannah, where you've had to just jump in there and take that leap of faith?
Oh, 100%. And it was really interesting because I was talking about this question with Eric yesterday. And this whole time I've been, when I was first thinking about this series and like door walking and what does that mean? And like, it's just, going through and accepting opportunities and just riding with them. And I thought that moving to Kansas was this huge leap of faith, right? We had to sell a business and a house in the middle of a pandemic. We had to sell everything that we had to fit into one U-Haul with 2 kids and 2 dogs and drive across the country away from both of our families who still live in Massachusetts. Like, I always thought that was the faith part, but it wasn't. Yeah. And I've told Eric this the whole time. I said, I don't really need faith with this. This is a really easy decision. And I've just been dwelling on that's been on my heart since we moved here. Like, why was that so easy? I'd like to think that it was like, oh, I just trust God, but I just did. So it wasn't hard, like the hard kind of faith, So then when I was talking through that with him yesterday, like why, as I'm writing this series or doing the devotions for this series, I realized that the actual door walking faith substance was actually happening behind the scenes before the move.
Wow.
So we went to a very toxic church. I call ourselves spiritual refugees from Massachusetts. I mean, we were so persecuted for standing strong in the faith and not doing what I call convenient Christianity, and which we'll get into in a later episode for sure. But it was really challenging. So having to sit there and not know and I'm like, I need to know everything. I'm a plan A, B, C person. I need to know timelines. So having to sit there and having my husband graduated from seminary and not knowing what we're supposed to do with it, having to deal with this toxic church and these toxic relationships, me knowing that I'm working a job that I'm not supposed to, pays well, I'm still ministering, I'm still doing kingdom work, but I knew there was something better for me. For me, that was the door walking, was being able to just let go and let God in that way. Everything else fell into place. Yeah. And it was like this super peaceful transition. Really interesting.
Yeah, and that's one thing that we'll also get into in a couple of later episodes, but like when you take that door, or when you believe that God is in control, your life should feel at peace. It shouldn't be confusing. And so yeah, that's truly, truly amazing. Like, I can't imagine what the chaos would have felt like. And honestly, like, church hurt is a very different type of hurt.
It's like a breakup from a love, like a friendship love and a family love. It's
and like and a weirdly like connection of like a spiritual love, but like you're not like, your spiritual love to God isn't hindered.
No.
But like you're connected like spiritually with this family because you all believe like the same stuff.
So yes, that's exactly it. You're connected physically, emotionally, and spiritually, which you don't always get to that third level with people because not everyone believes what you believe or whatever, which is fine. Plenty of secular friends, but when you do add that level, it is. I've been suffering from a breakup for over a year now, and it hurts, and it's hard to pray for your enemies, and it's hard to let things go and just let God. And then
and there could also be some sort of like trust issue too when you like join a new church community, but you're just trying to let go and be like, God, this is where I need to be, and obviously you love being here,
and he made it so clear. I say that he macheted the way for us to get here. Like, how do we sell a gym? We sold a gym in the middle, a closed gym in the middle of a pandemic. Like, how does that happen? Yeah. And then even things like having me stay home because I ended up getting furloughed from my job, which was medical. They were a private practice, so they could close. But being able to be home, like, we never could have moved if I wasn't home getting paid unemployment and packing. I mean, just so many weird, like, twist blessings. Yeah. Like, it doesn't look like a blessing, but we knew it was. We were 100% comfortable with this decision. It was just so weird to think that I thought that was the door that I walked through. Like, oh, I mastered that, but I didn't. It was easy. It was the stuff that was before that. It's crazy.
That's so interesting.
Now, Nicole, how about you? Okay. I mean, you moved also 2,000 miles across the country.
Yes.
So what did that look? Was that what your biggest too?
I mean, honestly, I always think that I took in my end of high school into young adulthood, I've taken two really big leaps of faith. And the first one was being accepted to Bushnell University, which is in Eugene, Oregon, formerly known as Northwest Christian University. They just changed their name this year. And I applied probably to 5 colleges, but for whatever reason, like, there was a clear path that I needed to go to Bushnell. And it was the most expensive out of all of the 5 other colleges I applied to. And I changed my career path to fit, like I wanted to be a pediatric nurse, but they didn't really have that at Bushnell. So I was like, okay, well, I think I'll just be a teacher. And so I started studying early childhood education, and then I became a teacher. But all the things that led from where I was at to getting to Bushnell was like a clear path, and I just took it, and I just rode that wave with the Lord. So that was my first biggest leap of faith, was just taking that opportunity and going to Bushnell, not worrying about the price, because that was the only thing that was really like hindering me, because I was like, it's so expensive compared to the other colleges that I'm wanting to go to. So I did the work, I applied to the scholarships, I did all the things, and I got the loans, and I just made it happen. Well, I didn't make it happen. The Lord made it happen. And so by the end of my senior year, I worked at this camp, volunteered at this camp that my husband would fly out to every fall to work at from Kansas. And I met him in 2011, and then in 2013 I went back and volunteered at this camp again, and he was there. We reconnected, and at the time when we reconnected, I was kind of seeing someone else. But when I met Brandon, I just like knew that this was it. And I don't know what came over me, but on the last day of camp, I told him, I was like, I don't know what your plans in life is, but I'm a senior in college. I have nothing planned after I graduate. Like, we can make this work. And he was like, this is insane. Like, you're crazy. And I was like, I am serious. Like, I just took that leap of faith, and I was like, I'm just going to lay it on the table because, like, whatever life is ahead of me, I want it to be with you. And so there was so much uncertainty with that because we weren't even dating, but I pretty much told him, I'm going to move wherever I need to move to be with you because your love for Jesus is what I need in my life. And this camp is not a Christian, it wasn't a Christian camp. It was just like it was an outdoor school.
What was his connection to the camp?
Yeah.
That he flew.
Yeah. So this was an outdoor school where like 6th graders go with their homeroom teachers to this camp and stay overnight with their teachers, and there's high school counselors and then like senior counselors who are usually college age, and then adult staff. His aunt who lives in Wichita but also has like a houseboat in Oregon volunteers at this camp as well. Yeah, and so she actually started working at this camp when I was a 6th grader as a camper, and then as time goes on she like would bring Brandon's niece and nephew there as campers when they were 6th graders, and then brought Brandon there as a staff member, and I met Brandon when I was a senior counselor and he was an adult staff. So yeah, so that's kind of like how that happened. So that was my second biggest leap of faith because I had no idea what I was saying or doing, or some people could be like...
Did you have any romantic intentions or like comments or anything before that?
I mean, like a little bit in 2011. I was like 19 and he was 22. It was just like the flirty texting, but at the time he lived in Colorado and I was in Oregon, and I was not like... had any intention of moving to the Midwest at 19, and so it was just kind of like this flirtatious texting, and then it just kind of dropped off in 2012, and then in 2013 I went back to camp and he was there again, and I was like, ugh. And yeah, I was like going through some like tough times with self-insecurity and relationships and things like that, and he was just like such a light and loved the Lord so much, and I was just like, man, I want that in my life forever.
I love that.
Yeah. So those were kind of like the two biggest leaps of faith that I kind of blindly took, and it's kind of worked out. So,
yeah, I would say.
I got a degree and a husband. Like,
two ends of the success spectrum.
Yeah. If you were to think of maybe a specific Bible verse or a like godly truth going through those biggest leaps of faith, and why we kind of want to continue on with this Door Walker series, would you be able to like identify what those would have been during those times?
Definitely 2 Corinthians 12:9, power made perfect in weakness. You know, going back to, I always thought moving to Kansas was the leap of faith, but realizing now, like literally yesterday, that it wasn't. It was that time before that of the persecution. And, you know, God's power was definitely made whole because we were so broken and so willing and submissive and like, whatever you want at this point, we're done, please. And I mean, we certainly, you could argue that we did things in our strength. We always had the mission mindset. You know, we tried to use our gym as like a way to minister to people, and people knew us as a Christian gym, even though we weren't a Christian gym, like things like that. But we just knew that there was more to it. And so I would say that verse, you know, my grace is sufficient for you, my power is made perfect in weakness, that definitely spoke.
Were there any other places besides Kansas that you were looking at?
So that's really interesting too. We applied to, I don't know, I think he applied to 20 or 30 places. We were so done with Massachusetts. So we ended up being finalists in 4 different places. One was Salina, Kansas, which I actually didn't know. He's like, oh yeah, I was a finalist there. I'm like, are you kidding me? One was a church in Kentucky. And the guy, it was really interesting because when Eric called to like kind of follow up like on his application, someone just was like, hello? And it was like someone's cell phone, and it ended up being the fill-in pastor's wife who answered her phone, and he was part of the search committee, but he was also the fill-in pastor. Well, without saying the name of the church or the person, that guy like was texting Eric like, hey, you know, let me get a feel for how much we're gonna jive working together, because he was actually the worship pastor and he was just stepping in doing like written sermons. He wasn't writing them. So he's asking Eric like, what is your theology on this? Like, what seems like kind of Bible talk, you know, like, oh, guy to guy, you know, man to or pastor to pastor. And I was like, that's really odd, Eric. I said, he's on the search committee and all this stuff. Well, it turns out that he took all of Eric's answers and ended up getting the job himself and completely ghosted Eric.
Oh, no.
So that was another thing that we had to go through, all in this time of spiritual persecution. Then
Church hurt, I'm telling
that's
you.
That's what I'm saying. So then, that's not even... Well, that is the worst one in my opinion. But there was another one. We were finalists in Japan. Like they were like, here's your package. You're ready to go. You get all these crazy comps and benefits. And it's really interesting. I really thought that was where we were supposed to go, because Eric asked me years ago if I could have one church wherever, where would you want it to be? And I said, I just want Ocean.
So Kansas.
Oh, we've had conversations. But no, so we were finalists in Japan. It was an island, like a little island in Japan, Okinawa. And so we were getting, like, and I was thinking like, the military thing, is there's a military base there. It was a Baptist church. It was a Southern Baptist church. That's cool. Like all these crazy connections. I'm like, this is where we're supposed to be. God's giving me my Ocean, this, that, the other thing. Well, apparently God thought that would have been a distraction, because he'll put me in literally the most landlocked part of the country. And in this country, because they ghosted us. I mean, they were like, hey, we have a meeting about you. We're really excited. And that was on a Sunday night. And then nothing.
You're still waiting.
We're still waiting on that one. They still have not filled the position. Eric checks every once in a while for fun. So yeah, it's been a very interesting ride with churches.
I mean, and it just goes to show that, like, even though, like, people see us as, like, Christian people and living for the Lord, we're all still human. We're all still carrying so much sin. So we're all capable of hurting people.
Absolutely.
Like, just because we are people in a building doesn't mean we don't have the capability of hurting people. And so, and sometimes it can even be a little bit more deeper. And I wonder if anyone else can relate to that. It's just, gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm so glad you're here.
I mean, me too. Yeah. It's really great. Gosh.
Man.
So what about you versus truth that got you through those?
You know, I don't necessarily think I held on to any specific verses that I can remember. I mean, a lot of the times, especially as like a younger adult, you hang on to those, I don't want to say cliche, because that's not kind of the nicest word to talk about when you're talking about Bible verses, but like cliche Bible verses, Philippians 4:6, don't worry about anything, instead pray about everything, tell God what you need, and thank Him for all He has done. And I think with a lot, especially choosing to go to Bushnell, like I had a lot of anxiety because I wasn't sure how I was going to get through every year paying for it, but the Lord made it happen. And so I think hanging on to just like His truth in general really brought me through that, I guess. So as a younger adult, I don't think that my faith was where it should have been, obviously, because I feel like when, like even right now, when you feel like your faith is like super, super strong, as you get older, you're going to look back and be like, wow, I've grown so much since then. And so for me, knowing that I took those open doors to go to Bushnell, or taking that open door and just going for it and saying, hey, Brandon, you my guy, I don't think, I know I wouldn't be where I am today without that. And it's really made my faith just more confident and strong, just knowing that I've always tried to follow Christ and knowing that I am where I am today because of Him.
So over the next several weeks, as we take you on this first sermon series journey with us, we are going to be talking about what I call the 4 P's of door walking.
Yes.
And what are the 4 P's?
Prayer, perseverance, persistence, and peace.
Love it.
Yes.
It's amazing.
So next week we'll be talking about prayer. The first week of January 4th.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And yes.
Yes.
We'll be talking about prayer and how that goes with your door walking journey.
Mm-hmm. How important it is to just overwhelm everything you're doing.
I love that.
Yeah.
And in the comments, you'll find a notes and reflection guide that you can follow along with us and continue your door walkers journey with us.
We want this to be a journey with you. Mm-hmm. So we want you to print this. We want you to write notes, write down verses, write your own reflections on the things that we talk about. Mm-hmm. And we also want to hear from you as the viewer. Like, we want you to put, if you do that reflection, you're like, wow, I had this, epiphany about something. We want to hear about it and we want to talk about it.
Yes.
So please comment and, follow us on Instagram, and
we'll get our Facebook group running soon.
Yeah. If it's not up already.
If it's not up already, that's true. And lastly, don't forget to like
and subscribe
to Meeting in the Middle. See you later.
Bye.